9th, and Graham Smith, top 10.
Go back to Warren Truan, the Shake and Bake Racing entry. High Voltage Coffee sponsoring that car as well. Position number 11 for the number 71 Camaro. Paul Hadley in 12th. And then it's Chris LaRosa, Bill Robinson, Christopher Formosa, whose car was repaired overnight after a crash yesterday, in 15th on the grid. And then it's Warren Wadley. Tim Tritton won't start this race. Neither will Anthony Tenkate or Jason Hassett for that matter. But good to see Mark Crutcher back out there in the number 4 Dodge Challenger, albeit starting at the rear of the field.
I'm loving the fact we've got these fantastic onboards, and this is going to be one to watch as Russell Wright hopefully carves his way through the field. We're sure to see some pretty sneaky moves all around this track. Also, we'll be on board with Mark Crutcher too during this race. Thanks to the guys at PROMAXX. We can't wait. This is sure to be another action-packed race. It is a rolling start, and the safety car has moved off now. We've got a green flag, so we'll go around for one more lap, and it's really interesting to watch the different drivers go through their different warm-up routines. Some will weave left and right to try and get the heat into those tyres, while others are probably a little bit heavier on the acceleration and then the braking.
Well, there's a couple of different approaches to it. Waving left and right is one way to generate tyre temperature. The other thing that you can do, like you say, is accelerate and then brake hard, because the heat radiates out through the brake discs and rotors and warms up the tyres that way. Having said that though, tyre temperature, I don't think it'll take too long with the hot conditions that we've got here at Winton this afternoon to get the Hoosier Control slick tyres up to optimum operating temperature. The other thing to take into consideration for this race, Luke, will be the physical fitness aspect as well, because 15 laps, think about it, the ambient temperature's over 30 degrees. The cabin temperature in these cars, you can add another 20 degrees to that. So we're talking 50 degrees plus Celsius in the cockpits of these cars. 15 laps, that's going to be about 25 minutes in terms of time that the drivers will spend in the car. And think about all of the heat radiating from the exhausts and the engines back into the cockpits of these cars as well. And not only that, the fact that the drivers are wearing all of their safety gear, including their multi-layer fireproof race suits.
Those 25 minutes are going to equal a couple of litres of fluid. I was lucky enough to ride in the two-seater one of these 2 days ago when it was much cooler, only about 20 degrees. And I was doing nothing. I was just hanging on in the passenger seat. And I reckon I sweat out at least a litre in just those 3 laps. So they are definitely under some grueling conditions in those cars today. As they round turn 10 into formation, I do love the rolling start, Lockie. It's always exciting, and it's always about reflexes. We watch for the light to light up to let us know that we're about to get underway, and the cars are under heavy scrutiny at this point because they cannot jump. They cannot jump on those accelerators until that light goes out. So safety car pulls into the pits, and Murray Kent and McLaughlin will lead them around the final corner onto the main straight. The light is on. Here we go for the PROMAXX TA2 muscle cars. Race number 4, the light is out and we are away, and it is Murray Kent with the inside line into turn 1.
On board with Russell Wright a little bit further back. Murray Kent muscles out John McLaughlin on the exit of turn number 1 and 2 and goes through to take the lead. We've got a few cars running wide off the road. Warren Truan, one of the drivers, to take an excursion down there at turn number 1. Damage to the number 71 car as well as he works his way back onto the circuit. The number 888 car, Warren Wadley potentially involved in that as well. But great to have onboard camera shots bringing us all of the action in this race. Russell Wright on the attack on this opening lap, looking to make up some early positions.
As we head back to our leaders, Murray Kent, McLaughlin all over his bumper at this stage. He's going to apply pressure early, try and force him into a mistake, because he's not going to want to settle for second. And as we look a little further back, you've got Kulig right there as well as Coulter. And I think it was Cheney behind him, the rookie.
Indeed it was. So Graham Cheney running up inside the top 5 once again. He'll be battling it out with Brett Nile, but here comes Russell Wright, moved down the inside into turn 10. This is for a spot in the top 5, and he makes it stick, Russell Wright. So he's gained another 2 positions on the opening lap of this final TA2 race of the weekend.
So McLaughlin eyeing up a manoeuvre here. A lot of curb there for Kent, getting 3 wheels left on track there as that back right-hand corner lifts completely off the ground. into turn 1. He'll still lead. Oh, but McLaughlin all over him, just sliding up the inside there. Beautifully done. Great drive out of turn 2. We haven't seen a lot of overtakes there this weekend.
And Murray Kent's going to lose second position as well. Michael Cooley down the inside into turn 3. And looked there like there was a bit of dust just on the racing line and on the braking approach to turn 1, and that has caught out Murray Kent. We saw how loose the number 74 Camaro got on the exit of turn 2. That cost Kent some valuable momentum and ultimately cost him a couple of positions. As we take a replay of what happened at turn 1, and look at the top of the shot. That was Christopher Formosa there in the number 49 Dodge Challenger, which has already sustained damage this weekend. And he got into the side of another car. Warren Truan, as I mentioned, was involved in that contre-top, and Christopher Formosa's headed back on into the pit, so not what the Allgate Racing team needed. More damage to that car.
I think he also took out a couple of double ASA signs down there at turn 1. As we take a look now at Michael Cooley sitting in 3rd, and Kent behind him now after that terrible drive out of turn 2 on the previous lap.
Incidentally, Formosa has rejoined the racetrack after that spell in pit lane. But John McLaughlin now has the thing that he has been wanting all the weekend. Some clear track to put his head down and see just how much performance and pace he can extract from that number 17 Mustang.
As we take a look back, there's Russell Wright looming as well. As Coulter tries to line up a move on Kent. Kent getting very defensive into the middle of the track there. Nothing doing for Coulter. He'll have to tuck back in around turn 3. As we head into turn 4, the car's loving those new ripple strips on the entry and exit of turn 4, giving them some fantastic drive into turn 5, the longest, fastest corner here at Winton. Kent still doing well to hold off Coulter, but a sea of, would we call that blue or aqua in his mirrors?
I like aqua. It sounds more classy, doesn't it, when you describe it as aqua? It's sort of a mixture between blue and green.
Back on board with Mark Crutcher down in 13th. He is all over Peter Hurd, slipping up the inside there. I think that was turn 6 and 7. Mark Crutcher getting the job done there with a working clutch this time.
And also the other car that he overtook there was Warren Truan. We look back to the battle for honours in the rookie class between Graham Cheney and Graham Smith up there once again with him.
Cheney has the upper hand at the moment. Will he hold on though, because Smith in that Mustang is looming large as they round turn 12 onto the main straight one more time.
This is where Simon Tappinall being on the radio to Graham Smith, just giving him a bit of coaching about the situation, telling him what his lap times are relative to Graham Cheney. When you look at it, Smith's been a bit faster than Cheney right throughout the weekend, but he's also made some more mistakes, which is why Cheney has ended up in the higher position. John McLaughlin, fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 26.0 set on the previous lap. It's only a tenth of a second away from the fastest lap time that we've seen in race conditions so far at Winton this weekend, which shows that McLaughlin, now that he's got clear track, is able to fully maximise the performance of that Mustang.
Russell right now able to maximise on Coulter's locking of the brakes there around turn 5. He just lost a lot of drive, and that made it very easy for Russell just to sneak around there, who claims another position and will now be up into the top 4 as he continues to make his charge towards that top spot. As we go down to the pits, there's car number 20. It's such a shame to see any car in the pits.
Darren Berry, former Australian GT competitor, having a spell in pit lane.
Not very competitive right now, Lockie. As we come back to our battle of the rookies. Smith still behind. Can't get past Cheney.
Cheney's latched onto the back of Michael Coulter, so this is becoming a three-way contest for positions 5, 6 and 7 between this trio of drivers. Graham Cheney, who hails from Bathurst, not done any circuit racing on 4 wheels, but has done off-road racing on motorcycles. So I suppose vehicle control is something that he's got a bit of experience at. In any case, he's done a very good job of adapting to the challenges of circuit racing this weekend.
Coulter just looks like he's struggling when you compare that car to the 2 rookies behind him. If you're just joining us, these cars, although they look different, there are the 3 distinct shells or body types, they're all pretty much the same under the skin. So it's just the driver separating from the next car. All comes down to the driver and their skills. So will it be a rookie that suddenly leaps into the top 5? And will it be Cheney or Smith?
You're right about Coulter. He is struggling for a bit of pace. Last time around, a minute 31.0, which is well off the optimum lap times that these cars have achieved, as Cheney goes for the big move at the inside bounded zone car care products corner, turn number 10, just gets it stopped. He skated him in there on the rear brakes, and Graham Smith follows him through. So Michael Coulter loses another couple of positions. 2
for the price of 1 right there. I don't know if Coulter's going to be too happy behind the wheel of that Mustang. Let's have a look at that replay.
This will give you a sense of just how on the limit Graham Cheney was. Look at the car sliding as he threw it into turn 10. Michael Coulter saw him coming, decided he was not going to have any part in any potential incident down there, opened up the steering, and that allowed Smith to squeeze on through as well.
As we ride back on board with Russell Wright, currently in 4th position now, hunting down Murray Kent, who we can see just in front of him. And as they pass through a cloud of dust, someone's run off the track up there around turn 7.
That was Christopher Formosa, who was a lap down after the incident that he had earlier on.
I think he's going to not be enjoying his time out for this race. It's not been the best of starts for him, but makes no never mind to Russell as we continue to ride on board through the gears down to turn 10. Very late, hard braking, shoving it left, making sure to not drop a wheel into the dirt here on the exit of turn 10, because you need that drive coming down the back straight.
And he has the carrot too, doesn't he, to chase at the moment, Russell Wright. He's got the car of Murray Kent not too far up the road, 1.5 seconds. And Russell Wright was a fraction quicker than Murray Kent on the previous lap, so he'll be pretty determined after the setback that he endured yesterday to find his way back into a top 3 position and minimise the damage some of the other drivers are able to inflict in terms of the championship points. The way the point system is structured for TA2, it is really expensive, Luke, if you get a DNF. You do not want to be parked in pit lane or on the sidelines. It will cost you very severely.
Still on board with Russell Wright. This is fantastic to see. Kylie, I believe you've got some updates for us in pit lane.
Yes, last we saw the car of Darren Berry's come in, mechanic, engineer, chief of all things in the lane for the team. Lily, what's happened?
Basically, the heat protectant for the body of the car has come down. He may have hit something whilst out on the track, and it's basically just hanging right above the exhaust, and it's just giving off a really bad fume in the car, and he just can't really cope out there with how hot it is as well. Unfortunately, we can't pull it off, so he's just had to come in, unfortunately.
Such a shame, doing really well too.
Yeah, this is one of his best results that he's had, really, in the season from about 2017 onwards. So we're really excited. Everything was going nice and perfectly for him, but yeah, that's
done racing, isn't it? Isn't that true? Thanks, Lee, for the updates.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. And while we were chatting there to Lily, unfortunately, Russell, in his efforts to charge through the field, has gotten a little bit loose around turns 6 and 7. Here's the replay right now, and sent the car very wide, facing in all kinds of wrong directions.
It's actually up at turn 6, so he's ended up across on the inside of the road there at turn number 7 and rejoined just to the other side of that marshal's post up there. That's a shame for Russell Wright, because he was on the march forward, and we had the bird's eye view of that from his onboard camera as well. Thanks, Kylie King, as well, for bringing us that update with Darren Berry. Not ideal that heat protector's been dislodged, and as you can imagine, Luke, from a driver's safety perspective, best thing to do rather than risking the driver's health to call it a day in that situation.
But these two cars are not calling it a day. This is the battle for the rookies that we've been talking about. But it is still Graham Cheney in front. Graham Smith behind, who just doesn't seem to be able to get that Mustang around that Camaro. He's doing everything he can, but that Camaro seems to be twice as wide.
He got a good drive out of turn 9, Graham Smith, but not quite close enough to make the move into turn 10. Again, it'll just be a case of him keeping the pressure on Graham Chaney and trying to force him to make a mistake at some point. Of course, these cars are so evenly matched, as you touched on before. Under the skin, they are pretty much identical. It comes down to the driver's skill. Fair few car setup adjustments that you can make as well. In a longer race like this, a bit of strategy plays out, particularly with things like tyre pressures. Do you set the car up to be strong early and try and get a margin, or do you set it up to come on later? Graham Chaney, we were talking about the pressure. Graham Smith was applying it. And while it's Chaney, who's not made mistakes this weekend, he has been forced into one. Down at turn 1, locks the rear brakes, fires it off the road.
Graham Smith says, thank you very much, I'll take that. And it is all about the concentration. One momentary lapse and boom, you're in the weeds. Race over. And it all went wrong for him right there. As soon as the back steps out, when it goes wrong very quickly. And they're not the easiest cars to save once you see the back end coming around that driver's side window.
It was only just fractionally too late, I think, that he braked there heading into turn number 1, Graham Chaney. But that has sent him backwards a couple of positions, that mistake.
Let's head up the order now, because this is the closing battle for second. So we're looking at Michael Kulig here in the number 7, who's being hunted down by Murray Kent. Now that gap was a good 2 seconds not that long ago. Let's see what it is now. So Kent's got it down to just over 1 second.
It was 2/10 quicker that last time through. John McLaughlin pulling away at the front of the field. 6.4 seconds the margin first to second. The other important thing that we have to start thinking about as well at this stage, the overall round results. So at the moment, John McLaughlin with 214 points for the weekend would win the round overall. Murray Kent, 207 points, second for the weekend at this stage. Michael Kulig sitting in second position on the road. He will round out the overall podium on 201 points. Of course, now that I've gone through those results, they'll probably change. We'll have to redo the calculations. But here is John McLaughlin. Something about number 17, Ford Mustang, and dominating motor races. Been a bit of a theme in Australian motorsport for the last couple of years.
The Ford fans will be absolutely loving this. But again, you don't want to take anything away from John's drive. He hasn't set a foot wrong, has he? Once he's gotten out front, it's his race to control, and he can run it the way he wants to. As we jump back on board with Mark Crutcher coming through turn 5. Oh, it's great to see those onboards. I'm absolutely loving those, but gets it a little bit wide there. Slightly missed the apex, wouldn't you say?
Having to work hard to try and keep Warren Truan at bay, and also Peter Hurd. So this is the contest for 8th, 9th and 10th position. Mark Crutcher, really good job coming from the rear of the field up into the top 10. Another driver who just continues to improve and go better and better every time he drives one of these TA2 muscle cars, having come out of Pulsar Racing in New South Wales.
Warren Truan's obviously pushing very hard. We saw him just lock up there a couple of corners ago. We get back on board with Mark Crutcher, throwing it right into turn 11, lining himself up for a big entry out of turn 12. Fire it down the main straight. That Dodge Challenger sounds and looks fantastic as we ride on board. Full tilt, full chat, top gear. Now he's got to pull it up back down through the gears into that tricky turn 1. We've seen a lot of cars get it wrong here this weekend, but not so the case for Mark Crutcher. Through cleanly the run to turn 3. But someone who isn't letting him march off into the distance is Warren Truan in his Chevrolet Camaro right on the bumper.
And Warren Truan, a driver who's come out of HQ Holden Racing, another category where it's all about being smooth and precise. Because HQ Holdens don't produce a huge amount of horsepower, so they are cars that demand that you minimise the mistakes and maximise the momentum. And it does serve you well when you step up into a category like TA2, where the cars are a bit more powerful, but all still very evenly matched in terms of their mechanical specifications.
Let's head back a little bit further down the field. This is again the battle for second and third between Kulig and Kent. Kulig still in front, but that gap has come down now to well under a second. So Murray Kent driving the wheels off that thing. And unfortunately for Michael Cooley, he's now got a lot of silver in his mirrors, and he's going to have to keep it very tidy because Murray Kent is on the charge.
Murray Kent's just punched out his personal best lap of the race, a minute 26.1 on lap 11, which is only a tenth of a second slower than the overall fastest lap of the race held by John McLaughlin. So Murray Kent perhaps has gone for that tyre pressure option that I spoke about earlier, where you set the tyre pressures a bit lower, maybe sacrifice a bit of speed early in the race, but with the prospect of your car coming on a bit more strongly as the race progresses. We look back at the Mark Trutcher versus Warren Trueman versus Peter Herd battle, which has been on in earnest for a few laps now, but Mark Crutcher doing a good job of withstanding that pressure from the cars behind.
We are on board with Crutcher now, sitting in 8th. This is the battle for 8th. Unfortunately, we can't see the two cars that are sitting right behind him, putting on a lot of pressure. Oh,
Warren Trueman getting right up on the curb there at turn number 7 and kicking up a fair bit of dust as well.
Mark Crutcher would have loved every second of that because that's just given him a little bit of breathing room.
He did well to save that, Warren Trueman, but it has cost him a lot of time. And several car lengths to Mark Crutcher, who's just been able to skip away down the road.
And I think Peter Herd would have had to have taken some pretty evasive action there too to not run into Trueman as he rejoined the track. Because it looks like Herd's lost a little bit of time on Trueman as well. So well done, Mark Crutcher. He was able to hold off that pressure. As we now have a look at Coulter getting passed by Bill Robinson. He made that look easy as
Coulter's still nursing some sort of issue.
Yeah.
He's got no pace in the number 11 car at the moment. I wonder if it's a gearbox issue or something else that's affecting the straight line performance. Whatever the case, at the moment, Michael Coulter is just limping that car around to try and get it to the finish because, like I said, a DNF is a disaster, but provided you can get to the checkered flag, even if you're down the order a fair way, there's still big points to be gained.
this is the Mustang of Brett Nile that we're watching. No, let's head back to the replay of what happened with Warren Trueman, who just got a little ambitious there and ran onto the inside of the corner. That's, don't know what he was trying to do there, but that's not going to get an overtake done, that's for sure. Back to the battle of Brett Nile, trying to hold off Cheney, who's run a really good race.
He's done a good job, actually, Graham Cheney, to come back from that spin that we saw at turn 1 earlier on. So he's still in 7th position, Graham Cheney, and obviously pushing on to try and make up for lost time because he's another driver who has just punched out his personal fastest lap of the race. Turning our attention back to the contest for positions 2 and 3, only half a second separating Michael Cooley and Murray Kent, and once again it was Kent who was 0.4 of a second quicker than Cooley on the previous lap.
As they start to charge through some back markers there, Chris Formosa doing a good job in the general lead to get out of the way and not impede the fantastic battle going on between these two. Oh, as we see Cheney now, unfortunately that's his second big mistake of the day.
And he's taken Niall with him by the looks of it on this occasion, and once again that is down at turn 1. So a contretemps between a couple of our series rookies.
And as we say that, Kent is now right on the bumper of Cooley. This is going to be very interesting. Heading down to turn 11. Who's going to get the better drive back onto the main straight? And
big damage to the left rear of Graham Cheney's car, and he's going to drive that off into the infield, so that'll be his day done, unfortunately, after such a strong debut performance in the number 51 car. Here's a replay of what happened between him and Brett Nile at turn 1. And once again, just a bit too late under brakes. He's made contact with the rear of Brett Nile's Mustang and sent them both flying off the racetrack.
Unfortunately, that was all Cheney's fault. No one else to blame there.
Could have been. So there was obviously something broken in the left rear of Cheney's car. We are now on the last lap, incidentally, but it could have been that the failure in the left rear was what contributed to that incident as well.
And it looks like Michael Cooley's done everything right to stay in position 2. But once again, the story is all about this man, car number 17, John McLaughlin. Again, another strong race, and it bodes well for his season ahead. As we look at our leader, a good 8 seconds in front in clear air, just nursing that car easily back around to the start-finish line where he'll take line honours once again.
So not only will he win the race, but he will also win the opening round of the TA2 Muscle Car Series presented by PROMAXX Performance Exhausts at Winton. What a performance it's been. John McLaughlin is your round one winner. The TA2 cars here at Winton Motor Raceway. And a comprehensive win it was as well in the end, Luke. More than 8 seconds back to our second place driver, Michael Cooley. It just holds out Murray Kent by 7/10 of a second in the battle for positions 2 and 3.
And in shot there was a back marker, Michael Coulter. Unfortunately, I'd love to know what was going on in that car because we just watched him plummet down the order like a stone. So obviously nursing some sort of issue. There he is on screen, the number 11. No idea what happened to him. It was such a strong start. And then all of a sudden, he just plummeted. Back on board with Russell Wright.
Russell Wright recovering from a spin that we saw up at turns 6 and 7. And he's managed to recover for what will be a top 5 finish in car number 55, but still very much a weekend of what might have been for Russell Wright after the supreme performance that we saw from him in qualifying, where he took pole position and won the opening race.
The 2017 champion takes this very seriously. I think he's going to be kicking himself. He's going to be pretty disappointed coming out of this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brings to the next round because this battle is far from over.
Mark Crutcher, that's the drive of the race for me. Back of the grid up to 6th position. He will have loved every minute of that race, Mark Crutcher. Fantastic performance from the driver of the number 4 Dodge Challenger. Confirmation of your race results. Warren Truan in 7th position, followed by Brett Nile, Peter Hurd and Christopher LaRosa rounding out our top 10 finishers.
The PROMAXX boys will be loving this.
Also, Graham Smith, 4th position, his best race result of the weekend and best of the rookies.
A fantastic drive from Graham Smith. The battle of the Grahams, as you called it earlier on. Unfortunately, Cheney, not the cleanest race from him with a couple of big mistakes. In 11th, Paul Hadley, Bill Robinson, Michael Coulter finishing in 13th. As we look at our race winner pulling into some jubilation and a big round of applause there in pit lane, you can almost see the smile through his helmet. As we go back to the race start, it was Kent with the inside line. Both cars, him and McLaughlin, had a great jump as we get on board with Russell Wright diving down the inside into turn 1 as well. All the cars made it through cleanly. There's Coulter in 4th at this point.
Not making it through so cleanly, unfortunately, the cars of Christopher Formosa and Warren Truan involved in that incident as well.
Elbows were certainly out at the start of this race.
Peter Hurd having to take some evasive action there as well, and there is Christopher Formosa collecting one of the AASA signs on the front of the number 49 Dodge Challenger. Thankfully not too much severe damage to any of those cars. And Murray Kent, well, he led initially, didn't he? But John McLaughlin did a great job of keeping the pressure on throughout the opening segment of the race.
Michael Cooley was never too far away from that action. Back on board with Mark Crutcher, your drive of the day, Lockie.
Yeah, really good performance. We saw some fantastic overtaking manoeuvres from Mark Crutcher. And meanwhile, the carrier of our other onboard camera, Russell Wright, he was on a bit of a mission as well to work his way back up inside the top positions. Battle for rookie honours was well and truly on. Michael Coulter, unfortunately, was having a few problems with his car, which led to him being relegated back a couple of spots at turn 10.
As we watch Graham Cheney get the job done and open the door up too for Graham Smith behind him. Here's Russell Wright going past Chris Formosa, who took an excursion off the track. And then he did the same thing a lap later, going the long way around. And this was, unfortunately, the end of the battle of the rookies for Cheney, getting it all wrong into the entry of turn 1. But your race leader at this point, soon-to-be race winner, McLaughlin, just storming away.
This was a good battle, wasn't it? Mark Crutcher, who had done such a great job of picking up positions, then found himself having to play a bit of defence to hold out Warren Truan and Peter Hurd, but it was Crutcher who kept it mistake-free and on the black stuff.
Brett Nile too, was trying to make that Mustang very wide as he was hunted down by Cheney, who was trying to make up for lost time. Cheney driving a little bit too hard and unfortunately completely missed his braking point there and took Niall with him.
So it was actually the contact from the back of Niall's car with the left rear of Cheney's car on the rotation that caused that damage.
And back again to the battle between Coolig and Kent for second. But it just opened the door and left it wide open for McLaughlin to walk away with it as he strolled into the sunset once again to take another fantastic race victory here at Winton. So full credit to him, hats off. He's had a great weekend, a little bit of luck involved there yesterday, coming off better than Russell Wright with that incident into turn 5 in race 2. But that's motorsport for you, Lockie. It can be a cruel mistress, and sometimes it's all about right place, right time. So let's go down to Kylie in pit lane with our race winner.
Well, John McLaughlin, you're a little happier to see me this time round. You're a little cranky after this morning's race, but you're pretty happy now.
Yeah, I mean, all weekend we've had the pace to be at the front, and I just haven't been able to utilise it too much. So to get that pass done early on in this race allowed me to put a gap on the rest of the field, show what the pace we actually have in the car, and yeah, I had a good race.
And how important is it for you to leave this weekend winning the round as well?
Obviously, it's a great start to the season, so we're in it for the long haul to get the championship. Go for that. So to come out on top after the first weekend is a perfect way to start, really. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy it with your team. It's well earned, I know. I can tell, John. It's pretty hot work out there. Second in that race, and a great weekend for you too. Michael, you've really earned that one, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, that was tough. That was real tough, but it was probably that's the best result I've had. I thought third was it, and we bettered it by 1, which is really good. I'm really, really happy with that, and I'll take it, and I never felt as good in a long time, especially in this category. It is hard racing, and it's really close, and when you can do well, oh, man, it's so rewarding. You just, elation, man. God, so good.
He doesn't even look like he's broken out of sweat. I don't believe it was as hot as you say it was.
I'm puffed, yeah, I'm puffed. Don't sweat much, so.
Don't sweat much. Look cool as a cucumber. And we might head over to our third place winner, Murray Kent. By contrast, you do look a little puffed. Geez, tough racing in these conditions.
Oh, it was, yeah. Forgot the cool soup. That's all right. Yeah, we got there in the end. Yeah, tried a different strategy with tyres and a bit weaker at the start, but congrats to John and Michael. They did a fantastic job.
And you say it is a bit of a strategy game with tyres and tyre pressures and setups, and it just cost you a little bit in the end.
Oh, I did early on, but that's a mistake we'll learn from. Yeah, I nearly stuck in the wall, so but I didn't, so that's good. But great weekend. Commiserations to Russell Wright and a few others that banged up their cars. Rusty probably missed out on top spot this weekend, unfortunately, but John's clearly a superstar of the future. So, yeah, congrats to him.
Terrific. So nice opening round, and you got there in the end, and well done.
Had a great weekend. Thanks to my crew, Phil, Jason, Gary. Couldn't have done without them, and good day to Julie and the kids as well. All right.
Better let you cool down. No cool suit. That makes it tough conditions in 30-plus degree heat. There you go, Luke. Pretty excited at podium winners in TA2 muscle cars.
Lots of smiles down there for sure.